In this video, I want to share with you how you can finally stop feeling guilty, especially when you feel like you're not living up to the expectations of your parents, of society, of your friends, and even your own voice in your head that says, oh, you should be doing better. You should be doing more. You're not doing enough. You should be more successful at this point in your life. I want to show you how you can finally just let all that noise go and experience a freedom, an inner freedom, and a feeling of self-love and approval that is beyond the guilt and is something you can experience right now in this moment. So if that sounds great, I'd love for you to stick around. I think it'd be highly beneficial. It has certainly benefited my life, and I've seen tremendous benefits in the way I feel, the noise level of my mind, and my overall self-esteem and how I feel about myself. So I'd love for you to stick around. I'm going to be doing a demonstration, walking you through how to let go of the guilt and how to experience that love, approval, and freedom that is right beyond the guilt. So with that being said, there's been a question that I've been asking myself a lot recently, and one I want to ask to you guys is, if we know guilt feels so rotten, if we know that guilt makes us feel so unworthy, so unlovable, and deserving of punishment, why do we hold on to it? Why do we do this to ourselves? And it really comes from a belief, a conditioning that a little bit of guilt can be good for us. And that without it, we would become some sort of unremorseful psychopath. And we would lose our moral compass, our conscience, and our behavior would just go off the rails. And that guilt is the only thing that's keeping us in control of our behavior. But in reality, and this is something that you can prove to yourself once you let it go, is that the guilt is extremely destructive. And it keeps us in this cycle of repeating negative behaviors. It keeps us in a cycle of feeling unworthy, feeling stuck, feeling unlovable, feeling undeserving of abundance and success, and overall just good things in our life. The guilt is sabotaging our success and killing us of our happiness. So with that being said, that should make it easier to let it go, because we know that it doesn't help. And there is a better substitute, which is love. And this is something that I've been really practicing. I've been really using the release technique to bring up the guilt and let it go, and really just go for a state of freedom where I can love myself regardless of what I do or not do and how much success I achieve. And for me, this has been closely tied in with my job, with my career, and feeling like in the past that I'm not doing good enough. I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not doing what I should. And it has just been accompanied by this constant lingering feeling of guilt. And for a while, I thought, if I let this guilt go, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything to improve my situation. Especially right now, if you saw my previous video, I'm in between jobs. The company I worked for shut down. So right now, I'm in between jobs and been faced with a feeling of guilt whenever I'm not trying to make money, whenever I'm not trying to go out and find a job. I've just had this feeling of guilt, feeling like I'm deserving of what's happening to me. And it's been tough to let go at times because the guilt has been strong. It's been convincing. You know, we all know the mind can be convincing at times, but with a little discrimination, with a little bit of discernment, we can realize that the guilt doesn't help me, you know? And this is something that I want to show you to you guys, and you can realize, is that there's a difference between doing the actions that we think we should and the guilt itself. And you can easily still take action without the guilt. And you'll find that when the guilt is let go of, you feel free to take action or free to not take action and do the things you want. But either way, you feel good. You feel like, yeah, I'm worthy, I'm good enough, and I'm not fearful of punishment and consequence because I'm not doing this thing. So this is something that I've been working through, and I've let go of a ton of guilt recently. And feeling like afterwards, just this tremendous state of peace and quiet, and it's been pretty amazing how peaceful you can feel. And it's funny looking back because that was just beyond the guilt. And typically, we want to run from the guilt. When we feel that, it is like, hell no, get that away from me. I do not want to feel guilty because it is such a rotten feeling that I would rather run on a hamster wheel for the rest of my life than actually sit for one moment and feel that guilt. But this is a truth with all letting go of negativity, is that these negative emotions, they're all temporary. And what's on the other side of it is a state of peace and love and freedom. So, with that being said, and knowing that our typical response when we feel guilt is to run away from it, to try to do something in order to stop feeling that, to try to fix our situation. But for those of you that are really on a spiritual path, and this is something that I've said in my last video when we work through fear, is that these moments where you're feeling guilt, when you're in these situations where guilt is coming up, it is a tremendous opportunity to let go. Because one, the guilt has always been inside of you. It's always been there, sabotaging your happiness, your success, your relationships, and all that. But now, since you're in this situation, the guilt is finally coming up. It finally has an excuse, a trigger to come up and say, hey, I'm here, please let me go, please. I'm begging you, I've been down here for so long, and I really want you to let me go. But what do? We normally shove it down. We normally say, get out of here, I don't want you, please go away. And we miss these opportunities. But I'm gonna propose to you today that you can use these troubling situations as opportunities to hop over the fence and experience tremendous peace and freedom. So, with that being said, I hope you're willing now to face the guilt, and really you'll find out it's just a feeling. So, with that being said, let's jump into a demonstration, a walkthrough on how to let go of guilt and experience that freedom that I've been mentioning. So, take a moment just to get quiet and close your eyes. And just take a few deep breaths. just start to feel into your body. Because from the neck up, you can't let go of anything. That's just thoughts, and they'll spin forever. But below the neck, in your stomach and chest, that's where you can let things go. That's where the real magic happens. So just allow yourself to sink into, if you're sitting in a chair, allow yourself to just sink into the chair, into your body, and just feel into it. If there's any tension in your body, just allow it to relax, allow it to open. And now, think of something that you really know you should be doing. Whether it be in your career, maybe you haven't called your mom in a while, maybe you haven't paid your taxes, whatever. Something that you know you really should do, and by not doing it, it's leaving you feeling guilty. And just allow yourself to get in touch with the guilt. Because notice, as I mentioned before, notice what we typically do when we feel guilt. And let's just use the example of you haven't called your mom in a while. Say that thought comes, oh, I need to call mom, but I don't want to. It's met with an immediate feeling of guilt. And we typically shove it away. We say, no, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to do it. It doesn't feel good. Get away. And that doesn't work, right? Or we might say, okay, I'm just going to call mom, just get it over with so I can get this feeling out of here. And maybe the guilt will go away if I do that. And again, that's fine. You can still take action, but you haven't let the guilt go. So it's still there. It's still running in your subconscious and really just sabotaging you. So instead, what I want you to do, and this is something I'll say again, is that you can always take action. If there's, in regards to this thing that you think you should do, as soon as you hop off this video, you're free to take action. There's no saying that, oh, you shouldn't take action. You should just focus on letting go of the guilt. All I'm saying is that deal with the guilt first, then do the thing. Okay? So I just want to make that clear. So back to that feeling of guilt that you have right now. Instead of saying no to it, instead of resisting it, trying to push it back down, could you just welcome that feeling for now? Just give it permission to be here in this moment. And some more. And even more. And could you just relax into that feeling of guilt? Just allow it to be okay for this moment that the guilt is there. And notice now if the feeling has dispersed a little bit. It's opened or softened. And if that's the case, that means it's letting go naturally. See, when we allow a feeling, when we give it full permission to be here without judging it, resisting it, pressing it down, it just naturally floats up and out. Because as I mentioned before, the guilt is coming up because it wants to leave. And now it finally has an excuse to come up and leave. So, could you just bring up some more guilt now? Just invite it up. Open yourself to it. And some more. And even more. And notice if it's moving out. Just get out of the way. Say yes to the guilt. Say yes, guilt, come up. And just allow it to come up and leave. And now could you let the guilt go? Because we know it doesn't help you. So just ask yourself, how does the guilt help me? How does it help me to hold on to this guilt? All I'm doing is just holding this negative image of myself. I'm just holding this negative picture of my situation. So it doesn't do you any good. So just let the guilt go now. Just say no more. I'm letting it go. And just open up. And just allow the energy to pass through. And allow it to pass through even more. And even more. And see how you feel now. Do you feel lighter? Freer? More peaceful? Less guilty? That's all you need. That's a sign that you're moving in the direction of freedom, of happiness. So now think about that thing that you should do again. And see if you've been disapproving of yourself for not doing it. See if there's been a story running in your mind of, oh, you're not a good person because you're not doing this. You should be doing better. You're not good enough. And on and on and on. Just notice if there's that disapproval going on. And again, how does the disapproval help you? Do you think by beating yourself up, you're going to achieve a positive outcome? No, right? So just make a decision now that I'm going to move in the direction of positivity. I'm going to move in the direction of loving myself and away from beating myself up. So I'm assuming you've made that choice to be positive. So could you let that disapproval go now? Let go of disapproving of yourself. And all it is a decision. It's either yes or no. And it's up to you. Can you let go of disapproving of yourself? Yes or no? Just take control right now. Say, yes, I can let that go. Enough with being down on myself. I'm done with it. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And see how you feel now. Do you feel better? So now let's take it one step forward. Because you let go of disapproving of yourself, there's room for you to step into the feeling of love and approval. So now could you make a decision that I'm going to love myself regardless of what happens. I'm going to love myself no matter what I do. If I do the thing or not, I don't care. All that matters right now is that I'm going to love myself. And again, if that brings up guilt, you're saying, oh, I'm going to love myself even if I don't do the thing I'm supposed to. That's wrong. That's selfish. That's not being responsible. Well, again, you don't need the guilt in order to do the thing. You can do the thing without the guilt, without the disapproval. And why not do it feeling good and loving about yourself, right? Doesn't that sound way better? You're coming from a place of freedom when you do that. So, if you've decided that, yes, I'm going to love myself no matter what, in this moment, that's all that matters to me. And I don't care what happens later. All I'm focusing on in this moment is just giving myself love and approval. So if that's the decision you made, could you give yourself a little bit of approval? And could you give yourself a little bit more approval? And a little bit more. Just, again, it's just a decision, yes or no. And to put it even simpler, could you just like yourself? Just as you are in this moment. Just could you like yourself? And even if you never do the thing, could you just love yourself anyways? Yes or no? and see how you feel now. Do you feel more positive, more loving, more free? Free from feeling guilty, feeling down on yourself, feeling unworthy. And if you're saying, no, I still kind of feel down on myself, I still feel like there's some guilt there, that's fine. Just go through this process again, letting up the guilt and letting it go, seeing if you've been beating yourself up, disapproving of yourself, letting that go, and then inviting some love and approval. And just keep going through it. You know, there may be a lot, and maybe if it's a big topic, there may be a lot of energy just wrapped up in the situation, but notice each time you let go, you feel better and better, lighter and lighter, happier and happier. So each release is rewarding in itself. And once you let that feeling go, once you let that little bit of guilt go, that little bit of disapproval, it's gone forever. It's not, and you might say, oh, it came back. It's not that it came back, it's just that there's more down there. So, regardless of how much is down there, each step of the journey is worth it. So, I encourage you to keep going, keep practicing. Like I said, it's a skill, and the more you practice it, the better you'll get. And notice that you may even feel more free to do the thing now. You might be like, oh, I can do it and it's easy, you know? Or you might choose, oh, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to. It's not something that interests me anymore, and I cannot do it, and that's fine too. I don't have to feel guilty about it, and I can just be at peace and feeling like I have approval regardless of what I do. And that's where the real freedom lies. So, I really hope this helped. It certainly benefited my life, so I hope that you see the benefit in this and want to continue to practice it, because I know firsthand that it works, and with more practice you'll see that too. It's an amazing tool, and it's simple when you do it. So with that being said, keep on releasing, and I'll see you in the next video.